Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. In today's video we're going to go over the newest game mode called Sacred Gambit, and this game mode basically replaces the previous season Core Cavern, which I'm going to talk about the cons and pros between the both modes and why I think this mode is slightly worse, but it does have a potential to be better, but it's currently poorly executed in my opinion. I do believe that they will work on it and improve it, but basically right now it's not in its best state it could be. That's just my opinion. So first of all, when you go into this game mode, there's a lot of things going on. So you have some spaces, some dices, there's rankings, building bonuses, some weekly rewards and spells, as well as these additional shards that you collect. And there's basically 6 spells that you have to complete to basically get the rewards. So that's the goal. The goal is to just move on the board and basically just collect all these rewards. So you have the yellow rewards, which give you these yellow shards. You have the dark ones, or rather the purple ones, which give you the purple shards. The fire give you fire shards, and then the blue ones give you the water type shards. So each of them also has additional reward. Maybe I can get it if I use my dice. So 4, I will move 4 tiles. No, I actually end up in the quest. So this is one of the worst implementations in here, for example, for me personally. These questions are not game related. They can go from anywhere from basketball to in-game related question to surgery to chess. It's basically no rules. And I have complained about this. I want this to be purely game related, so the questions aren't all over the place and they're at least somewhat acceptable. So for example, there are 10 crows on tree branch. After Loki shoots one down with a slingshot, how many crows are left? This is probably a trick question, because if one gets scared or one dies, for example, I believe all of them will leave. So maybe answer is 9, maybe it's 0. So after Loki shoots one down, so one has to fall down. So yeah, 10 crows. So I'm going to go with 0, and that's basically correct because, well, they get scared. So it's a trick question. There's a lot of trick questions that are pretty stupid in my opinion. What numeral and calendar system did Maya civilizations primarily use? This is one of those questions that basically not all of the players will know, and it's pretty stupid to include it. It basically requires you to either use AI or Google to find the answer to this. The answer is base 20, I believe. So they're kind of scripted, so if you already went over them, it's kind of easy to actually figure them out and basically memorize them. For example, I had the Ascended Arabella title or whatever the question is like 4 times already, so it's pretty easy. You can kind of make video on them and basically get all the correct answers for other people to repeat on. So how many lines of symmetry does a square have? That's C4. And then we have the in Norse mythology, how many worlds does the world tree Yggdrasil connect? I believe it's 9, although I'm not entirely sure, so I will check that out to ensure I get the correct answer. And basically, for getting the correct answers, you get this best dice, which gives you opportunity to move from 1 to 6 spaces. These are really important. This one is also pretty good, so 4 to 6 spaces, and then this one 1 to 3. You pretty much need all of them, so they're kind of all important to have. So yeah, I checked and it's 9, so as I said. And then the last question we have, what is something that the buyers knows but the user will never know? What is something that the buyer knows but the user will never know? What do you mean? A coffin, probably? Yeah, it's probably a coffin, right? Yeah, okay. So yeah, those were the questions. You basically get some additional useless rewards that you don't need, and then the choice dice from 1 to 6. And then you pretty much use those choice dices. For example, we have 4 or 3 different structures in this game mode. This one right here, it doesn't do anything when I click on it, unfortunately, but that's a dungeon that you use for these crystals. So collecting, or rather landing on these squares, as I mentioned before, awards you with water, firelight, or dark crystals. Accumulating these crystals will increase your current success rate, which determines the probability of breaking shields when passing through the gate. A higher success rate is essential for breaking seals and moving closer to the grand prize. So you have to complete these to get the grand prize. But for example, I could use my dice right here to move number 2, and get to this, but I don't want to. Just look at my current success rate, it's pretty low. I will likely fail and it will not do anything for me. So what I want to do instead, I want to skip it and I want to go to the monsters battle. So the monsters battle is the one to aim for if you're going to be purchasing the weekly dice limits with diamonds. It's pretty expensive and it's not for everyone, but it's currently how it's showing you the current rankings. So as you can see, these are the current rankings and it's based on the monsters you have defeated. You will have options to either sweep, or actually let me show you. So you can't really exit this, you kind of have to crack this spell. Oh, actually I was successful. That's quite a surprise, but yeah. So as you can see, currently level 21, I want to challenge you, never want to sweep the floor, because the monsters first of all are quite easy to beat, so you don't have to worry about that. And second of all, sweeping the tile will not increase your ranking in here, so it will just give you some useless reward. So it's always challenge, so you always want to challenge, and it's really important that you do it. So that's why using all of these dices for that stage is very important if you're trying to be competitive in this, because the rewards are quite nice. For example, they're not throwaway rewards, but they're not something to waste diamonds on either. The title is nice, but it's not game breaking, so you can just simply try to get the top 10 if you want, anything else is pretty whatever. On top of that, these rewards are distributed at the end of the season, so you will have to purchase these weekly dices every single week. That's 3,500 diamonds times 8, so it's a lot of expensive waste of diamonds for a lot of players. So yeah. If you're a free-to-play player that is not going to be competing in those dices, I'm going to suggest you getting these buildings right here. For example, you have these two buildings that I'm going to suggest everyone to go for, and here's why. Because of these buildings, they give you bonuses in the challenge from the Beyond and for Region Spirit Calamity. So if you get the Knight statues up, you will get the bonuses for these bosses, and if you don't summon for the specific artifact or relic during that week, you will not be doing any damage. However, if you get your statues up, you will be dealing at least some damage and have some competitive edge over other people, especially since both of these bosses give you either relic shards or the current pet shards, so it's kind of important to perform good there, because the ranking rewards for the shops are really nice. Here are the ranking rewards, so you can get your Cerber shards from here, and you can get your Beyond shop, you can get your relics from here. These relics are not all that terrible, they're a bit outdated, but you can still find usage for them. So yeah, if you're not competing for the ranking in the bosses, in the PvE trials, I'm going to suggest going for the statues, because they are kind of giving you bonus for the season and they're not really expensive. The other tiles I haven't mentioned is, as you have seen, I did land on this one. These are the quests, or rather the quiz tiles, so these are the tiles that will have you questioning everything from NBA to chess to mythologies and even American history, so you will need this. You will need those answers if you are competing. If you're landing on these dice, you will need those AI helps and Google and everything that comes with it. Tiles right here are the rock, paper, scissors tiles. So in this tile, when you land on here, you will be playing rock, paper, scissors against an AI that, or rather it's not even AI, it's just a computer, so it's pretty RNG. There is no technique, there's no tactic, just go YOLO and pray for the best. You will have option to either continue or stop fighting. I'm going to suggest to continue and have basically luck, so not much strategy to talk about in there. These tiles right here are the shop tiles, so they offer you some kind of items for diamonds, especially Cerberus, Shards and other things such as set spaces, so they're not worth buying, just so you know. The Shards are very expensive and not worth getting at all. So yeah, those were all of the tiles that I have mentioned, and I think they're pretty much all. So it's pretty repetitive game mode, it's pretty straightforward as well. It's not that interesting as I was hoping it. You get 12 shards each week, so it's not all that terrible. So yeah, all in all, a pretty interesting game mode that could be improved, especially if they do want to improve it. There are the rules that you can read about. I didn't bother mentioning them, but they're pretty easy to read and pretty simple, so just go over them if something is unclear. But yeah, overall, I'm not a big hater of this mode. I do hate the quizzes because they're too random, but overall the game mode is fine. And I hate that in comparison to the Sacred, in comparison to the Core Cavern, we had far more shards of Cerberus given away for free in quotations marks. But yeah, overall, it's a bit worse game mode than the Core Cavern for me, because Core Cavern was really fast and really simple. However, this one takes quite a while, but at least there's more content to do in a way, so you will be doing this every day, unlike Core Cavern, which you did once a season pretty much. So yeah, hopefully they do buff the shards we're earning. That's pretty much my only complaint, as well as take some quiz adjustments and make them game related more than American history or NBA or something that majority of the player base doesn't care about. So yeah, whether it's worth buying the additional shards or the additional dices, my guess is going to be no, but you can buy like 5 to 10 additional, it won't hurt you a lot. But apart from that, you don't really have to. As I said, if you're competing, if you're spending diamonds weekly, go on the bosses styles, go on the challenges, always challenge, and basically be rank 1 in the challenge monster. It will be RNG at the end of the day. Somebody will hit more natural dices on the bosses, somebody will not, so it's still RNG on top of spending a lot of diamonds. And if you don't want to bother with that, just go on the statues, go for the bosses, go for the bonuses for these bosses in the seasonal content, and that's it. So hopefully you have learned this game mode, how it works. And yeah, thank you for watching. Good luck in your quizzes, you will need it, and good luck in your rock paper scissors matches, you will also need it here. So yeah, thank you for watching and see you in the next one.